In this video, we're going to take a look at adductor rock backs. Now, this is a great movement for anyone that might be limited in terms of range of motion in hip adduction, that ability to kind of open up the hips and put a stretch or bring yourself to end range in hip abduction that might put stress and stretch on your adductors of the leg. This might go hand in hand with movements like Cossack squats, where you feel like you're very limited in the range of motion and you just can't quite get to a deep position because you're really limited by the adductor complex. Anything that sort of involves like a lateral side-to-side movement, this would be very useful to work on with. Now, a handful of things that we need to work on with this position and need to make sure. I'm going to tilt myself to sort of a side view to sort of demonstrate what I mean when I talk about pelvic tilt in this position. So when I look at this from a side view, you can see that I have my hands out in front. I've positioned myself as far across to the side as I can, and I've even got my foot sort of flat as opposed to, say, like the edge of my foot on it. I've actually tried to get the ball of my foot, the sole of my foot, onto the ground, putting a little bit of a stretch even into the lateral side of the ankle. Now my hands down on the ground from here and my spine relatively neutral. What I can do first is I can play around with my pelvic position, okay? So from here I'm trying to get what would be considered a posterior, or an anterior pelvic tilt, where my tailbone is sort of tucked up to the ceiling and you can see my lower back curve is a little bit more accentuated. Now by holding that position, by getting my tailbone up towards the ceiling and then rocking back nice and slow, I try to do my best to actually maintain that pelvic tilt, and I rock back and forth within that range of motion, and I limit myself where I feel as if I can't go any further without losing that tilt. Because if I go through this range of motion and I just don't focus much on the pelvic tilt, you'll see I can get more range of motion, but I'm not getting as good of a movement into my adductor complex. So if I get that little anterior tilt, my tailbone up towards the ceiling, and I take my time slowly going back, exhaling and relaxing, I'm feeling really deep sensation into my adductor, but then the minute I lose that tilt, I just lose it. So my adductor into my hamstring, provided I keep that tailbone tilt, is going to be really important. And when you play around with this, you're really going to find a difference in terms of the value that you get from this movement. You'll rock back to a certain point. You're doing your best to pause, really feel for the end range position, and how far you can go while keeping that pelvic tilt. As I said, exhale and relaxing, rep by rep, set by set. You're going to notice this open up massively and your range of motion really improve across the adductor with that straight knee, okay? So certainly give that movement a try. Let me know if you have any comments or questions to do with this movement. Leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video if you got some value from it. And if you want to see more content like this on a regular basis, be sure to subscribe to the page. All right, thanks for the moment, and I'll see you soon.